Emily's knees sank into the soft lawn as her trembling fingers clawed at the grass. She shoved a handful into her mouth, tears spilling down her cheeks. The bitterness coated her tongue, her sobs choking her as she chewed. "God, please forgive me," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I can't do this anymore." Behind her, sharp footsteps cut across the stone path. What in God's name is going on here? Her head jerked up. Standing only a few feet away was Daniel Harrington, the billionaire whose mansion towered over the neighborhood like a castle. His crisp navy suit looked untouched by the world, his shoes polished to a mirror's shine. But his face was frozen in disbelief. "Emily," he said, his voice unsteady. "What are you doing?" She scrambled upright, spitting grass from her mouth, her apron crumpled in her hands. "Sir, I. Her voice collapsed under the weight of shame. Daniel's brow furrowed. "Are you insane? Why are you eating grass like a starving animal?" His tone was sharp, but beneath it, something else flickered. A note of fear. Emily shook her head desperately. "I'm sorry. Please, don't ask me. Don't ask you." He stepped closer, towering over her. "I just walked into my garden and found my employee on her knees, crying and chewing grass like it's food. You think I can walk away from that without an explanation?" His words were heavy, each one slamming against her chest. She clutched her apron tighter, her body trembling. The image of Mrs. Harrington flashed in her mind, her cold eyes, her cruel voice. "If you ever tell him, you'll never see another paycheck. And without that money, what will your family eat?" Emily's lips quivered. "Sir, please." Daniel crouched down suddenly, bringing his eyes level with hers. His jaw was tight, his breath sharp. "You're not getting out of this with silence. I want the truth. Right now?" "What?" Her tears fell faster, soaking the fabric of her apron. She tried to answer, but the words tangled in her throat. Every memory of skipped meals, every whispered prayer at night, every cruel rule pressed down on her like a stone. She shook her head weakly. "Emily," Daniel said again, his voice lower now, though no less intense. "Look at me. I'm not going to ask again. Why were you on your knees in my garden, eating grass?" Her chest heaved. Fear burned inside her, but so did desperation. And caught in his gaze, she could feel the moment tightening around her like a noose. Her silence roared louder than her sobs. Daniel's hands curled into fists at his sides. His anger was no longer clean. It was tangled with confusion, dread, and something deeper. He had built an empire on control, on order. Yet here, on his perfectly trimmed lawn, his illusion of perfection was unraveling before his eyes. And Emily, broken and trembling, sat at the very center of it. "If I speak, she will." Emily's voice cracked before she could finish. "She who?" Daniel snapped, his tone cutting through the humid air like a blade. The sliding glass door creaked open behind them. A voice, cold and sharp, slipped into the garden. "What is going on here?" Emily flinched so hard she looked as if she'd been struck. Daniel turned slowly, his jaw tightening. Victoria Harrington stepped barefoot onto the patio, her silk robe flowing behind her, her eyes narrowing as they landed on Emily kneeling in the grass. Daniel's voice trembled with fury as he demanded, "Explain to me why I just found our maid on the ground eating grass." Victoria didn't even flinch. She raised her porcelain cup to her lips, sipping with calm disdain. "Because she's a servant, and servants don't eat what belongs to us." The blood drained from Daniel's face. "What?" Victoria walked closer, waving one manicured hand as if dismissing a child's tantrum. "Don't look at me like that. I told her from day one. The staff do not touch our food. Not leftovers, not scraps. They are here to serve, not to feed themselves like parasites." Emily's head sank lower, her tears splattering against her apron. Every word from Victoria cut deeper than hunger ever could. Daniel's chest rose and fell heavily, his hand trembling at his side. "You mean to tell me you've forbidden them to eat in this house?" "In my house." "Don't be so dramatic," Victoria shot back, rolling her eyes. "They're paid. If they're too incompetent to bring their own bread, that's their fault. I won't have staff rummaging through my refrigerator like rats. This house has standards." "Standards," Daniel repeated, his voice breaking over the word. His disbelief rang out in every syllable. "You call this cruelty standards?" She was so desperate she was eating grass, Victoria. "Grass. And you let it happen." Her eyes hardened like ice. Do not raise your voice at me. This is my household. You're never here, always buried in your work. I kept order. If she's hungry, she can figure it out. It's not my responsibility." Something inside Daniel snapped. His fists curled so tight his knuckles whitened. He turned, his gaze falling back on Emily, frail, shaking, folded in on herself like she could disappear if she just stayed small enough. "Why didn't you tell me?" His voice softened suddenly, desperate now. Emily lifted her tear-streaked face, her voice breaking apart as she spoke. "Because," she said, "if I ever complained, I'd be thrown out. And I send everything I earn back home. My little boy is sick. If I lose this job, if I lose it, her sobs choked the rest of the words. "He won't make it." Daniel staggered back a step, the breath knocked out of him. His chest clenched, his eyes blurred. Emily wasn't weak. She wasn't unstable. She was starving herself to keep her child alive, while plates of untouched food were tossed into the trash a few feet from her reach. He turned slowly to his wife, his voice raw. "Do you hear that? Do you even understand what you've done? She's been starving under our roof while you threw food away. A child's life depends on the wages she's barely surviving on, and you treated her like she was less than human." Victoria's jaw tightened. "Don't turn this into a melodrama. She's just a maid, Daniel. They come and go. Don't act like she matters more than she does." His roar shook the air, so loud the birds scattered from the trees. "Don't you dare." He stepped toward her, his finger trembling as he pointed. "Not one more word. I don't even recognize the woman standing in front of me. Cold, heartless, inhuman." Victoria's mouth opened to argue, but the look in his eyes froze her. She pressed her lips together, silence forced on her for the first time. Daniel turned back to Emily. His chest heaved as he knelt down on the grass beside her, his hand hovering just shy of touching her shoulder, guilt heavy in his trembling fingers. His voice cracked as he whispered, "Forgive me. Forgive me for not seeing, for not knowing, for letting this happen under my own roof." Emily's sobs deepened, her body shaking, but she didn't pull away. Daniel's vision blurred. For years he had believed his empire, his money, his name were the measure of his worth. But nothing had ever broken him like this. The sight of a loyal maid forced to chew grass to quiet her hunger while his wife sipped coffee. "I swear to you," he said, his words trembling but steady. "This ends today. You will never go hungry again. Not while I'm alive." The sun dipped behind the mansion, shadows stretching long across the immaculate lawn. And in that silence, Daniel Harrington broke. Not from scandal, not from business, not from loss of fortune, but from the unbearable truth of the cruelty allowed in his own home. Tears slid down his face, and for the first time in decades, the billionaire wept.